accept the calling of my generation to give our children the America that was given to us, with opportunity for the young.
And that's the vice presidential nomination speech last night in Tampa. Paul Ryan, by most reviews, gave a stirring speech, but let's talk to Gary Dietrich here from Citizen Voice and get his take on what we saw last night. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Paul.
Give a letter grade to Paul Ryan last night.
Well, you got to put him again. I'll give him one of those A-minuses like I did yesterday. You know, you always got to leave room for improvement.
I wish you'd been my teacher in college, I tell you.
No, and I'm going to say, here's the whys. A little bit stiff, especially at the beginning. I mean, a big platform prompter. He got warmed up by the end. But the content, you clearly got the 3 or 4 main messages and, you know, some big lines. What are the attack lines that are going to go after the president on things like, for example, Paul, Medicare? We need this debate. We want this debate. We'll win this debate.
Yep. Yeah, well, and that has really been an interesting twist since he came on the ticket. I mean, that's been an issue that Republicans have not wanted to bring up, and they're really taking that to the forefront of the fight. Let me get a reaction. Carmichael Craig sends emails all the time, and he's the guy that monitors the view from the left for me. And so here's what Craig...
The resident leftist?
Yeah. Okay, he sent me this note earlier. He said, ask your political analyst to comment on how much of Representative Ryan's speech was truthful. From what I've read from the conservative corporate press, all capital letters, most of what he said was about as truthful as one of his beloved Ayn Rand novels, pure fiction. Talk to me about claims that politicians make in their speeches, specifically there and as a rule.
Well, you know, in a speech like last night, you're not going to get one of Paul Ryan's wonkish lay out all the numbers kind of deals.
No whiteboards and scribbling.
No, there was one number mentioned, and that was a couple numbers, but the big one was how much is taken from Medicare to work in so-called Obama.
$700 billion.
Yeah. And that's not disputed, that shift in funds. There's questions about, you know, whether that hurts or helps seniors, whatever. But those are the kind of numbers. So it was really, to be really honest about it, with all due respect to Carmichael Craig, it wasn't like you could do 2 + 2 = 5, and it wasn't one of those kind of speeches.
Okay, there may be some of those still, but that last night was not one of them. Let's talk about Condi Rice last night. A lot of folks thought she was the night.
Yeah, she was the only one from the Bush administration, kind of the holdovers. It was important also, of course, because she's an African-American woman, they wanted that. But Condi Rice is still highly respected, particularly in the foreign policy realm. And you know, it was her job to soften up the credentials of a Joe Biden and, by transference, a Barack Obama, and say that the Republican ticket, you know, Romney and Ryan, are going to do an even better job than the current administration in dealing with what she believes, and she said this for several years, are gaping holes in foreign policy.
Let's hit a little controversy before we go. Father and son, Ron and Rand Paul.
Yeah. Here's Ron Paul saying, I'm not even going to endorse the ticket.
Yeah.
Rand Paul got up, and very short speech. A lot of people even missed it. We just talked about this off here. But it was critically important that Rand Paul got up and said, an unequivocal endorsement, and I'm working to elect Ryan and Romney. Yeah. The Ron Paul people really need to hear that. They felt very dissed yesterday.
Some of the Ron Paul people walked out of the convention, and the son of Ron Paul made it very clear.
And the heir to the throne. I mean, Ron Paul is retiring. A lot of people don't know that. Rand Paul will be carrying on the tradition. It looks like he's going to do it now within the party. He's
got a killer viral video going on. We'll talk about later as well. And when we come back, we're going to have you back in the next half hour. I want to talk about what the Democrats maybe are planning. How do they respond? Having the second, the second convention. That's a unique place to be. So anyway, more with Gary Dietrich, Citizen Voice, a great resource for our elections, especially as we get a little closer to California issues. We'll talk more about that as well. It is said time and time again, watch your mouth, because you never know when your microphone might be on. Well, David Chalian of Yahoo